For over 300,000 years, another human species mastered the frozen landscapes of Europe. They hunted alongside wolves and cave hyenas, thriving in a world trapped in relentless cycles of extreme cold. Archaeological evidence challenges the image of Neanderthals as primitive, unthinking brutes. These were specialists who navigated an environment fatal to most modern humans within hours. Maintaining a stable core temperature at -20 degrees Celsius requires an aggressive, constant intake of calories to offset the rapid loss of body heat. In this landscape, survival is a direct calculation of thermodynamics. Hypothermia acts as a biological countdown. Once the core temperature begins to drop, the timeline to critical organ failure is measured in minutes and hours, turning daily life into a permanent energy management crisis. To keep the human engine running in a frozen world, Neanderthals engineered a radical economy. They relied on a three-part strategy: biological heat conservation, massive caloric acquisition, and social energy preservation. Neanderthal biology evolved as a specialized barrier against heat loss. Their physical frames were their primary survival technology, developed to trap internal heat long before the invention of complex shelter. This illustrates Bergmann's rule. A short, wide container retains internal temperature longer than a tall, slender one, due to less surface area. Neanderthal anatomy follows this exactly. Compared to Homo sapiens, they developed thick trunks, shortened limbs, and broad rib cages to minimize heat loss. Their faces were equally specialized. The large nasal openings seen in the skull served a vital hidden function. It functioned as a biological climate control system, warming and humidifying freezing air before it reached the lungs, protecting them from sub-zero breaths. Long before the first tailored clothing, Neanderthal bodies were genetically optimized fortresses built for thermal conservation. This heavy, compact muscle mass came with a staggering metabolic tax. The better their bodies became at holding heat, the more raw fuel they required to keep the internal furnace burning. This chart shows the scale of that demand. A typical modern adult requires about 2,000 calories. A wintering Neanderthal required 4,500 to 6,500 kilocalories daily just to maintain core heat. Reaching that caloric target required hunting the continent's largest animals. They became apex predators, targeting the massive megafauna of the mammoth steppe. Their prey included woolly rhinoceroses, ancient bison, and mammoths weighing up to 6 tons. Bringing down these giants required precision weaponry over brute force. Neanderthals manufactured these points using the Levallois technique, pre-shaping a stone core to flake off a specific planned tool. Mounting them involved complex chemistry. 200,000 years ago, they synthesized birch bark tar by heating bark in low oxygen conditions to extract resin. Their status as apex predators was maintained through intelligence and industrial planning, using the terrain to trap massive animals that no individual could tackle alone. Successfully killing a mammoth didn't guarantee survival. In extreme cold, lean protein alone is insufficient. A person eating only lean meat can suffer from rabbit starvation, failing to process energy fast enough without dense fat. To prevent this, Neanderthals meticulously harvested every gram of fat. They extracted fat-rich marrow from smashed bones and heated the remains to recover any remaining oils. Fire and hides acted as the final layer of their energy preservation loop. Carefully placed hearths reduced metabolic energy spent generating heat. Meanwhile, processed animal skins created artificial thermal barriers. This cooperative effort extended to the most vulnerable members. Archaeological sites like this one have yielded skeletons of individuals who survived decades despite severe injuries. At Shanidar Cave, a man lived for years despite suffering severe skull trauma, a broken arm, and a leg injury. At another site, an elderly individual who had lost nearly all his teeth somehow lived into his late 40s, likely sustained by others who prepared soft food for him. These social connections allowed survival knowledge to be preserved across generations. By sustaining the elderly and the injured, the group ensured that collective experience remained intact even through the most brutal winters. This graph shows the erratic temperature swings of the Dansgaard-Oeschger events. Between 70,000 and 40,000 years ago, Europe's climate shifted violently, with temperatures swinging by 10 degrees Celsius in just a few decades. These rapid shifts disrupted the migration routes of the megafauna. For small, scattered Neanderthal populations of 10 to 30 individuals, recovering from a single failed hunting season or a harsh winter became increasingly difficult. Rather than a war of extermination, the archaeological record suggests a long-term competition for resources. Homo sapiens entered Europe with broader social networks and more rapid cultural innovation, placing immense pressure on the remaining Neanderthal groups. As Neanderthal numbers dwindled, the two species encountered one another across Europe and Western Asia. They coexisted, traded, and interbred, merging their lineages for the first time in 300,000 years. Neanderthals were a masterpiece of biological and social adaptation. While their distinct species disappeared 40,000 years ago, their masterful energy economy and resilient DNA still thrive inside billions of us today.